Pleasure as always. I'll answer any.
Why did the land developers in this house?
Yeah, it just, it feels like, obviously one part's like easier than the other.
So we have to go into any actions, like temporary conditional use or something.
Well, that's what I was initially
Yes.
like, I guess, talking about.
Do you have access to see?
Okay.
Swamp air.
That's,
But it would be nice, like, in the future.
Cause I asked Jim how he's doing it.
You know, if, like, maybe conditional use is dependent on the ongoing, you know, consent of the neighbors or something.
well, that's what, so I didn't understand this word, and Ed said,
They're really different, they're more difficult than you would imagine they would be to revoke.
yeah, so that was, I think, is like, if we do that, and there's other things too, I don't know, it's just like a little bit less than
Remember that. You got, you have to carry a gun, already, carry a gun. So like, if they forget, you have to have your check bill. But also, there are so many people that
Have you?
have trucks more than 2,000 pounds parked around.
well, that's the part that, it seems like there's not, there's nothing.
When I read your brochure, you know,
Yeah.
Slow baby.
I thought that was kind of a firm number, you know, adjusted to
60.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
He says, because you both accepted the 12 years. 37.
Yeah. Well, then you're gonna
Traveling? No. Inside my house in summer. That's normal. Well, so I say, well, it's like, we're gonna fix our budget. It's working.
Yeah, slowly, rarely.
Yeah, he retired. I love these kids.
I mean, you can still come.
That's true.
He does.
That'd be cool.
That's on to the 21.
Just,
It was, yeah, so. Salisbury Street, because
Right.
the city went back to
Corner of the
Dewey and Gray Street. So we're gonna get back to both sides of the.
Aaron's gonna join this year.
One thing on the side.
We're just considering that it's possible to.
no top line there, it's actually
Prior to. I've seen it go with for most.
This is the longest one we've
It's a, I mean, we have over 5,000 people, so the community definitely enjoys it, but then if
These can
weren't able to host it, so have some.
They've actually
It'd
been
be tough for them to survive that, so. So that's all I'm here to ask for, is to maybe get some special consideration.
Actually, been out of Bill's.
Yeah, they're. That's tough. Whatever I. Okay. Well, it should be.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
My
Yeah,
bike
the big thing
is.
is, we can, I think, as members deal with getting in and out in the evenings to work on structure and building on house, obviously, on the street. When it comes to getting our customers and fire it's really complete from a safety and liability perspective. Yeah, that's all I was asking. I understand it's unreasonable to try to, obviously would love access to all summer.
Yeah, we're covering it with the real
We're having,
goal.
rather than do it in summer, park boats elsewhere. Still have the Ulster fundraiser, that's what you like to do.
I like it.
I don't think that's really concerning to us, just really internally what we're talking about, yeah, I think it's
So like they're actually really.
we're just, once construction's started, out of there and store it, probably my property, other members' properties, and utilize that to store those while the construction's going, so I think we'd be more, we'd be happy to just get it done, deal with it. Sounds like an extensive project with utilities as well.
Yes.
It's the simple part of that, I think. All right.
Well, you're gonna vote with all those.
I did.
And we have lunch there this usually. So that's why we That's why. Oh, yeah.
Our board ahead of time.
Is Carrie back?
For tonight and tomorrow.
Back in this?
I'm a co-pilot.
Ah, I missed it.
Oh yes.
Does he really?
Having like flashbacks.
Yeah, no, look at him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here quietly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny. I'm just here for moral support.
Sorry, I didn't bring the chair. Oh yeah, I haven't left in front of me. I'm gonna try not to bring it. Oh, except
That's tomorrow night. Yeah. I know, I turned bright red, I know. I always do. I know, see? I turn red all the time.
Why not?
But no, because I'm like,
No. Did they just send that invite out today, like downtown?
But also you have some flexibility, so it would be.
Oh, yeah, I think I knew that part. Yeah, it looked different. Maybe it's just a haircut. Maybe it's just a haircut. Oh.
That's like the penguin from Batman.
Oh, yeah. You would be in the back. Yeah, no kidding. Oh, your form. He's a stand-up citizen. I'm a Boy Scout. Oh, 6 o'clock. Are you ready? Get my notes. This meeting of the Eau Claire City Council will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Berge.
Here.
Brewster.
Here.
Johnson. Mboga. Miller.
Here.
Otto. Reed.
Here.
Schoen.
Here.
Serrano.
Here.
Worthman.
Here.
Okay, thank you. And welcome everyone tonight to our Monday, February 9th meeting of the Eau Claire City Council. If you're new here tonight, I will just go over how tonight's meeting will work, our public hearing. We have one item on our public hearing, which is street utility and sidewalk improvement. So staff will come up and present on these different streets and sidewalks. And then council can ask questions. And then at that point, we'll open up the public hearing, and I will go off of who signed up in the back first, but then I will open up the council chambers. So we'll just prioritize those who have signed up. I'll also say during that time is not really a Q&A time with city staff, so some of you may have questions, but Director Ness, I'm sure, she'll tuck over her contact information, and we'll make sure that everyone has what they need. So it's more of a comment period, but our staff is great, and we'll answer your questions too after the meeting or via email. But so after that, and then we have a public discussion on housing affordability, and then at the very end we have a public comment period. So that's for people who want to speak on anything that is not on the agenda, and that has slightly different rules. So just for I skipped the rules for the first part. So on the streets and sidewalks. Let's see. So you have 4 minutes to speak, and you can speak one time. And like I said, we'll prioritize the sign-up sheets. There's also blue comment cards in the back you can fill out or send us an email to. Okay, so there's a lot of instructions, but I'm here to help if anyone gets stuck. So, all right. With that, we'll go on to our first item, which is street utility and sidewalk improvements. This is a public hearing on proposed street utility and sidewalk improvements on the following streets: Arthur Street, Boardwalk Street to Justin Lane, Cameron Street, Bellinger Street to Mappa Street, Forest Street, 125 feet south of Sarah Street, 1,000 feet north of Sarah Street, Gray Street and South Farwell Street to Dottie Street, Maple Street, 3rd Street to First Street, Mappa Street, Madison Street to Cameron Street, Sarah Street, Forest Street to Hobart Street, and then South Dewey Street, Lake Street to Main Street. And Director Ness will walk us through all these things. Thank you.
Good evening. We have a lot more projects this week. We have 8 projects that we'll be going over. For those of you in the audience and for review for staff, this is our 2026 capital improvement map that shows our reconstruction, maintenance, local vehicle registration fee projects for this coming year, and then chip seal and micro seal projects. This is located on our website for reference. The 8 projects that we are reviewing tonight are all reconstruction projects, which generally include clearing and grubbing of trees, removal of curb and gutter, driving surfaces, driveway approaches, and concrete as needed. Replacement of utilities also, so that's the water main and services, sanitary main and services, and storm main and inlets. Once the removals are complete, utilities are replaced, installation of new curb and gutter, concrete sidewalk installation, or repair on the project, depending on the sidewalk condition. Installation of concrete driveway aprons and asphaltic surfaces completed. So this is kind of general overview for all the projects tonight. I won't list those items individually for each of the projects. Additionally, lawn and/or boulevard restoration is included in the projects. If the roadway is classified as a collector or an arterial street, pavement marking is also included within that project. This is the same chart that you saw 2 weeks ago, but for those of you who haven't seen this, the city measures pavement conditions using a rating index throughout the city. We go out and measure cracks within the street over a third of the city each year, and then put a rating system to it. From this chart, you can see that from 2019 to 2025, we've kept 90% of the street condition in the good and excellent categories, and we've been able to maintain less than 5% within the last couple of years for the fair and poor conditions, which is good. Other factors that we use in determining the projects for capital improvement are the ages of the utilities, the utility conditions, the location of the projects related to construction timing and balancing of the construction within neighborhoods throughout the city. We look at safety and collision-related improvements at different locations as well. This is kind of hard to see, but there are small red circles on the map that identify the different locations of the 8 projects that we'll be going over tonight. Related to each of the projects, engineer reports were prepared and are provided within the packet material. They were also sent to the property owners adjacent to the projects, along with assessment information for the projects. The engineer's reports provide the utility age information, street pavement condition information, proposed project improvements, if it's a safe routes to school, if it's identified in the bike and pedestrian plan, transit accommodations, and other specific detailed information related to the project. The assessments related to each project are based on the annually approved assessment policy. General questions come to engineering related to the assessments, and we explain to the residents that they are based on a policy that looks at the lot size adjacent to the project type, and if it's residential or commercial, and use that policy to provide an estimate. And that estimate looks at the length foot and the project improvements. What the property is charged for is what actually happens once construction is complete. So our inspectors will be out on project and measuring quantities within the project. If the sidewalk is good on your property and does not need to be replaced, that property owner will not be charged for replacement of sidewalk along their property. So those are some of the general questions that we have that come into engineering. If there are specific questions for me related to projects, I did leave a card at the back of council chamber that has our email address on and our phone number, and people can pick that up as well. Okay, so to get into the projects tonight, I had one more comment before we get into the projects. Each of these projects were taken before the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. They provided specific comments related to a couple of the projects, and I will go over those individual comments related to those projects when we talk to each of the projects. So we'll start with Arthur Street, Boardwalk Street to Justin Lane. This is a one-block project on the south side of Eau Claire near Fairfax Park. It is existing as a rural cross-section, which does not have curb and gutter along it, and we will be changing that to match into the cross-section of street west and along Justin Lane of the project to have curb and gutter. This is a street view of the project. The current street width is 24 feet. The proposed project widens this to 36 feet, which matches Boardwalk to the west of the project. There's no storm sewer that exists along this project right now, so the project will incorporate drainage and inlets along this section of Arthur Street. And this slide, you can see the on-street parking demand with the widening of the street that will improve the parking along the roadway and vision exiting the driveways with the parking. This slide also shows the new sidewalk along most of the block. There is about 20% of this project that does not have sidewalk along it, and that will be assessed for the installation of the new sidewalk. Overall, there will be minor water and sanitary adjustments on the project. Those were initially installed in 1995. The major changes to Arthur Street will be the increased street width and the change of no curb and gutter to a curb and gutter cross-section, and addressing the sidewalk connectivity with the installation of sidewalk. Additionally, with the project and all projects tonight that I'm talking to, the curb ramps and sidewalk will be constructed to ADA accessibility standards that are currently in place. So Cameron Street is our second project that we'll look at. This is in the West Riverside District near Cannery Park. Again, this is a one-block section that is being reconstructed. It's a local street. It's residential in nature. The existing width is 30 feet, and there is no existing curb and gutter along this project. From the pictures, you can see the parking demand on street and the poor street condition. This project proposes widening the feet to 36 feet between the curbs, which will match the street width west of Bellinger, and it will address appropriate curb ramps, as I had just mentioned. On the east end of this project, there will be some clearing and grubbing of trees and shrubs near the guardrail. There is a elevation change on the east end of this project. With the widening of the street, we anticipate at least one tree removal. There are utilities that run down the south side of the project that limits the shifting of the roadway or the widening of the roadway to the south. And sidewalk is located along the project. It will need some replacement along with the design of the curb ramps and crossings. Mappa Street is located just south of the Cameron Street that we just talked about. Same location. This is north of Madison Street to Cameron Street, west of the Quick Trip in the area. That seems to be a big reference when people call related to this project. This will be a reconstruction project as mentioned. The elevation change I had kind of spoke to before along the east side of this project is has guardrail along the east side of Mappa Street to prevent runoff road incidents. As you're looking north, you can see that the grade inclines. The majority of the block is without curb and gutter, so this project proposes placement of curb and gutter. And Mappa Street is a fairly narrow street, 17 feet in width, and it has some grade changes along the eastern edge, as we said, with the guardrail shown in that left picture. There's some utility improvements related to this project. No storm sewer is needed on the project or exists currently within the project. Some minor adjustments will occur with the storm inlets as needed. With the steep slope on the east side of the project and the existing guardrail, we're trying not to impact that with the project. The slope stability, we don't want to change that slope stability if we don't have to. So we are looking at trying to maximize the width of the street without impacting that guardrail. But we're still looking at those options. As a part of the BPAC review for this project, they did request engineering to look at stairs, providing a connection to the Oxford Avenue north of Quick Trip within the utility easement that runs along there. It is that significant grade change. It would require removal of guardrail and installation of stairs or some type of maybe natural pathway through there, which we've done in other areas to trails. But there is a large utility cabinet at the bottom as well. So at this point, we're still looking at alternatives and how we may approach that. With our ADA accessibility and trying to maintain access for all, the stairs has really come back as not an alternative for all users with other projects. So that's something that we're considering with this as well, since it is about 150 feet to go down the hill and to access Quick Trip instead of going straight to the east. Let's see, I think that's all I had for that project. Forest Street is on the other side of the river in the North Riverfronts neighborhood. This is considered a collector street, and industrial located to the north. The city's central maintenance facility is located on the west side along the river, as well as some residential on the east side of this project. These are some street view photos from the northern end of the project. The street varies in width from 42 feet on the south end to approximately 22 feet on the north end, so it really narrows up as you get to the top of the hill and where the trestles for the railroad were previously. The trail sections along Forest Street have been widened along the west side of the street. Forest Street is identified as a regional primary bike route in the city's bike and ped plan. Transit uses Forest Street for multiple routes. We have the Eddy Street Bridge that has a restriction on it related to any potential detours with this project or rerouting of traffic. So there's a lot that we still have to plan out with the phasing and the construction of this project as we look at the design. These pictures are all located along the northern edge of the project and will be addressing improving the trail connection as well to the High Bridge with this project. In the picture on the left, you can see the central maintenance facility, one of the city's buildings. And the picture on the right shows the utilities building as you're looking south from the northern edge of the project. BPAC, looking in this area, did recommend improvements to the trail connection with a smoother, rounder corner to improve the safety. We would have to do some grading of the hillside to accommodate those requests. Additionally, they had asked about providing more railing between the trail and the street for protection of runoff the trail and just the safety between the users of the multi-use facility and the street. So that's something that we'll be looking at as well. So related to the proposed improvements on Forest Street, we are looking at decreasing the street width from 42 feet to 39.5 feet. That matches the cross-section to the south, which was constructed in 2019. We're looking at improving the trail connection on the north end. As I mentioned, that could include some grading changes along the west side of Forest Street. It may include a retaining wall of some sorts along the utilities property near the High Bridge Trail connection. And communication and coordination on this project are going to be key with the Northside Hill neighborhood and the Riverfronts neighborhood, along with Cascade Tissue and the routing of their traffic related to their deliveries and their employees as well. So as we work through the construction phasing related to this project, we'll have to be in contact with Cascade Tissue and then Transit, other users of this area as well. Another item that I had in my notes was events at Mount Simon Park and access to the park and the recreation, along with the North Riverfronts and Northside Hill neighborhood. Staying in the same area, we're looking at one block of Sarah Street from Forest Street to Hobart Street. This is a local street with residential located on both sides. There's one connection point to the North Riverfronts Park off of Sarah Street. It is existing urban cross section, so curb and gutter on both sides, sidewalk on both sides. It's really driven, this project is driven by the pavement conditions and then also the utilities, which are from 1915. So improvements related to this project, we're planning to match into the existing street width, reconstruct similar to what is out there, just addressing some minor adjustments with stormwater at the intersections and replacement of sidewalk as needed along the project. Then we're going to jump over to Maple Street on the other side of the Chippewa River. This is located within the West Riverside District. It's classified as a local street with a mix of commercial, residential. Kessler Field is located along the north side of this project on the east end. The current street widths vary from 28 to 34 feet, and the project proposes to replace the street back in the entirety of 34 feet, so widening that narrower block to 34 feet. New sidewalk along cross sections that currently don't have sidewalk, that'd be in the Kessler Park area. That was identified as a sidewalk gap within our bike and ped plan. And from the pictures, you can see the pavement conditions, no sidewalk on a portion of the project that we'll be addressing with this. One of the major drivers of this project will be increasing water main pipe sizes. The utilities are from the 1930s, so they will be replaced with this project. The improvements, as I mentioned, will provide that sidewalk connectivity. Being that it's a local street, it will be closed to traffic during construction. Transit does not use Maple Street, so we will not have to coordinate with them during the project. Then we'll jump to the downtown area, Gray Street, from Farwell to Doty Street. The street width varies, 34 feet to 48 feet. There's concrete parking located along the south side of Gray Street on the eastern end of the project. Adjacent land uses are commercial business, Unitarian Church is along this project, public and private parking lots. There's one residential parcel. Here's some aerial or street view photos of the street. The Unitarian Church did reach out to talk with engineering about parking near their facility and potentially having a handicap ADA stall located near their building. I did want to follow up with them related to the potential or a need for a drop-off pickup zone, if that would be beneficial, and balancing the parking needs with demands in that area. So we'll continue to have conversations with them related to parking, and that would be an ordinance change that would have to be brought back to council. So you will probably see an ordinance change related to that coming prior to the project being completed. Ski Sprites also reached out to us related to this project, mostly with timeline of the project and their large haunted house fundraiser event that they hold at their facility on Gray Street and Dewey Street. So we also have a project going on Dewey Street that we'll be talking about. So they have construction going on both sides of their building and would like to have access to their building in October. So that's something that we can write into our bidding contract, that the construction has to be done in substantial form by a certain date, or maintain access to a certain point within a certain time frame. So we'll work with the Ski Sprites to add that into our contract language for the project, both on Gray Street and also on Dewey Street. Here you can see the condition of the street and the grade change along the street. Pretty poor condition. This project, along with the South Dewey Street, has been pushed off due to the Transit Transfer Center operating out of the Schlegel-Milch lot. So we've been waiting on bringing these forward until the Transit Center was moved into its permanent site. Gray Street is identified as a regional primary bike route within the bike and ped plan. BPAC recommended correcting the curb along the Executive Center building here. There is a loading zone that some sidewalk curb is not very, doesn't make sense in the area, and it's not safe for pedestrians to walk through there as it is right now. So we'll be addressing that with this project. Sidewalk improvements, again, will be improving the curb ramps and the crossings and making them compliant with current standards. We did have a comment that came in too related to the lack of streetscape on Gray Street and South Dewey Street, and the lack of street trees and having sidewalk at the back of curb. What's being proposed is to maintain the existing street cross-section on Gray Street. As Schlegelmilch lot is redeveloped, there could be some potential to add in some changes there. But really, we didn't include in the budget the addition of widening or changing the storm sewer locations to change the streetscape of the area. Additionally, with these projects, Gray Street and South Dewey Street, we also looked at changing the parking along the streets, looking at angled parking versus parallel parking and how that would impact the number of stalls within the area and the flow of traffic. With the angled parking and the distance, you have to get away from the intersection for site visibility. It really did not increase the number of parking stalls that would be available on Gray Street or South Dewey Street. So we are proposing to place parking along the curbside as it currently is with these projects. There is existing lighting along Gray Street. That will be upgraded with this project. The sidewalks exist along the entire sidewalk or project, so sidewalk repair would be included in this contract. Street widths are proposed to remain similar to what they are today. And as I had mentioned, staff will work with the church on talking with the parking and with the ski sprites on including language within our bidding documents related to the timeline and construction restrictions. Staying in the same area with the South Dewey Street project. This is mostly commercial with one residential located at the intersection of Dewey and Gray Street intersection. Again, there is public and private parking lots located along the project. This is going from Main Street to Lake Street. Here's some street views of the area. Again, there's a grade change through there. There is quite a bit of parking demand in this area. You can see the retaining wall near the executive center. With this project, we're trying to stay out of replacement of any retaining wall. There's additional retaining wall to the, I'm going to call it south, on this project as well. I had mentioned that we've pushed this because of the transit center changes. This picture shows that parking demand that I had spoke about, and I kind of talked about the review of the parallel versus angled parking. BPAC's review of this project was to look at traffic calming measures such as bump outs or addition of bike sharrows to alert the motorists of the shared lane on South Dewey Street. It is identified as a neighborhood route in the city's bike and ped plan. So we'll look at that with the parking on both sides and the street widths to see how that can work. We did look at the parking changes as I had mentioned. Again, the sidewalks exist along the entire portion of this project, so sidewalk repair would be included in this project. And the driver of this project, again, the street surface condition, but also utilities, water main and services and sanitary services will be replaced. Adjustments to storm water will be needed, but not replacement of storm water. And again, we'll work with the ski sprites on incorporating that timeline language into the project bidding documents. That's all 8 projects. If there are questions, I can take questions related to these.
Councilmember Brewster.
Thank you, Council President. So this is a question that I guess is equally valid for all of them. I noticed that we do pretty much exclusively asphalt for street repair. Is there a reason for that other than just it's cheaper than concrete?
We have found that the life cycle of the asphalt, we've had better luck with that in recent years, so that's the reason that we've been going with asphalt.
All right. Cool, thanks. I have separate.
Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll see if anyone else
All right.
has some.
So with the Eddy Street Bridge with the Forest Street project, if there's not a way to get that up to speed in time, would that be enough to delay that project?
So what we are doing with that, we are working on having an independent inspection of the structure done to have a load rating to see if the load rating, if we can increase the load rating, if that would be an alternative. We are also looking at the grading near the High Bridge Trail and where Forest Street gets very narrow to see if we can grade out the hillside a little bit to provide a bypass lane. We may have to do a single lane of traffic, which would be temp signal controlled for allowing northbound traffic and then southbound traffic. So looking at different alternatives that we can to keep the project moving forward. The driver of this is we also have a section north of this that is in not great shape that needs to be replaced as well and addressed. So we'd like to get this section done before we move to the north to get that section done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Miller?
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Director Ness. I have two questions on the Gray Street portion. The first one, I noticed that the width of Gray Street goes from 34 to 48 feet. 48 feet seem to be on the bigger side of a city street. Is that necessary? Is there any advantage to try to make that smaller? Is it possible to make it smaller with the current setup of Gray Street? Just thoughts on the width of the 48 feet.
The 48 feet is in that parking area near the government center. So we can look at adjusting the sidewalk and the street width through there if needed.
And then the second question was, you said with the large width, there was option for diagonal parking versus parallel parking. From Farwell to Dewey, it's pretty flat there, but then from Dewey up the hill to Doty, that is pretty steep. Would it be advantageous to put angled parking there so that way parkers don't have to do parallel parking on such a steep slope, whereas maybe angled parking there would be more advantageous in order just for ease of vehicular parking there? Is that an option?
That's true. That's something that we can look at. Additionally, on the south end of that block, there is a bump out that really defines the parking area. So that is already putting that parking stall a certain distance away from that intersection. So we wouldn't be losing parking by changing the angle of the parking through there. So we can take a look at that.
Yeah, I think it'll make it easier for people to park there since the number of spots would stay the same, but if it's easier, might as well make it easier.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Councilmember Boga?
Thank you, Council President. Director Nass, I would ask you a general question. A resident asked me today, what's the price tag for all this project?
So in the council packet, each project has a cost estimate related to it. So it's included with each of the engineer's reports. I would have to go through and add up each of them.
Okay. Then, thank you. Can I ask?
Yep, one more, yep.
Another follow-up question is, another question I was asked, I know maybe you don't have an answer. When these projects are done, what's their lifespan?
So with the lifespan, with the materials, we typically estimate around 30 years for the surface. It may need a mill and overlay for a time in there. Sidewalk, we consider a lifespan 50 years for sidewalk. Sometimes it goes longer if we don't have as much salt on it. depending on, you know, if you're on a hill and you use a lot of salt, that may deteriorate it faster. So it really depends on the location and the treatment in the area. But typically, I'd say 50 years for concrete, 30 years for asphalt.
Go to Vice President Worthman.
Thank you, Council President. Ms. Ness, I have a number of questions, so I'll just focus on
Two.
my first two.
Okay.
On Mappa Street, which seems like a pretty complicated street because of the grade, the barrier there, had some thought been given to whether we want to continue to have a street there and or to make it something a little different, maybe like a Woonerf style, where we share pedestrian, cyclists, and cars? And I bring that up because there's no driveways accessing that street. It looks like all the driveways actually come around the back for the residences.
Correct.
There's of course the Quick Trip. And given that it's 17 feet, my concern is if you're gonna bring that out to 34 feet, it's gonna take all of the vegetation down on the easterly side. All those trees will get cut. The berm is gonna, or sorry, the slope is gonna be moved back. Just seems like a pretty disruptive project when we could think about maybe keeping a small 17-foot street or just abandoning it.
Our goal isn't to increase it up to 34 feet.
Oh, I
If we
missed that.
can get to 20 feet, that's really what emergency services is looking for. So we're looking more towards 20 feet if we can. So
Oh, okay.
it's about 3 foot difference from what it currently is. But that's still pretty significant in this area with the grades and the existing sidewalk, and there's retaining wall along some of the properties as well.
Oh, I think I misheard that it was gonna get to, it says to a width of 36 feet. Proposes reconstruction Cameron Street to Bellinger Street to Mappa. Oh, I must be reading the wrong section here, I apologize.
Okay.
So 20 feet, so that makes it different, but most of those trees on that, on the eastern part of the retaining wall, will they have to be cut down for that?
Along the guardrail, we're hoping not to get into the guardrail. I'd anticipate designing the street to the west, so we'd be looking to have sidewalk at the back of curb, probably.
Okay. And then if I got some.
One more.
The other one that came to my mind, and one of the concerns I have, I think it was Maple Street. Let me just find it real quick here. Sarah Street. So Sarah Street has, obviously a poor quality, but there's a number of pretty decent trees that exist as you approach Forest. And it's just a concern that I think it's like 4 pretty decent sized trees that are gonna be potentially cut down. You can kind of see them in this photo here. Is there any way that we can assure the neighbors that this canopied area remains? Is there anything we could do to try and keep those trees?
On Sarah Street, we're proposing to maintain the width of that street and the sidewalk as existing. So I can talk with our forester about the trees and if there would be impact to those trees.
Okay, because I appreciate that, and I think it's going to make a pretty big difference if they get cut. So, thanks.
Thanks. Councilmember Brewster?
Thank you, Council President. I was wondering if you could go to the map of the Maple Street one. Yeah, so that abuts Kessler Park, yes?
Correct.
I'm wondering, I know there's been discussion of redevelopment of that park since Cannery Park has come online, and I'm wondering if there would be like wisdom in potentially delaying part of that one until we know for sure what that's gonna look like, so we could do connections instead of having to, or maybe we build, water connections into it. or something like that to make that development less costly as long as everything's opened up?
We typically put connections to properties, and if we happen to know what's going to happen in this area, we will try to appropriately place connections throughout the project. There may be connections coming off of First or Second Street as well that could service, or we can, if there ends up being like an alley, we can put a larger utility service that could then be accessed from the alley.
One more?
One more, yes.
Well, I have more than one, but.
I know. Yeah.
So one thing that like really bums me out when streets are getting redone is when like we have a brand new street and then like the manhole functions as like a pothole immediately upon it being done. Is there anything we can do about that? Because it happens all the time, and not just in Eau Claire, it happens like everywhere. And
Yep.
it's like, here's this nice new street and you still have to dodge what is, for all intents and purposes, a pothole. So,
We do have standards that they are supposed to be installed at and inspections with that, so we can work with the contractor on having the appropriate lifts in the manholes to raise them, lower them to the appropriate height.
I'm very aware that we have people waiting to speak, so it's okay if we, one more? Okay, one more, Councilmember Brewster.
thank you. My last question is, I guess, with the lighting being redone on Gray Street, is that going to match the style of lighting that's in the rest of downtown? Because I know we've had discussions about Farwell kind of getting put on a road diet, and my hope is that some of these streets would become sort of more an integral part of downtown without that barrier. And I'm just wondering if you know, we're planning on maintaining a standard of lighting into those neighborhoods.
So the lighting will not be the decorative lighting, but it will be a standard black lighting that we have on the downtown at the main intersections. It won't be like the arch that you see on Madison Street, but it will be an updated, just plain black light that will function well.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Director Ness.
Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Berg, Director Berg. What are we gonna do when you retire? Oh, just for this? That's so nice. All right, we have 4 people signed up. So again, this time is more for comments. You have 4 minutes to speak, so if you have specific questions for staff, we can't answer those questions, but staff is more than happy to do so. And Director Ness's card is in the back, so take note of that card and the phone number, and you can call, and I'm sure she'll stick around too to speak. So, all right, first we have Ben Walker. And the lights too will tell you how much time you have left, so.
Sounds good. Alrighty. Like President Berge said, I'm Ben Walker with the Ski Sprites Water Ski Show team. Thank you for your time. I'm here because, as Director Ness pointed out, we've got a fundraiser that we have each year, the Haunted House fundraiser that over 5,000 of our fellow citizens attend each year. Not only is that a great event that everyone enjoys, but it's our major fundraiser for the year. So without it, we'd have issues putting on our family-friendly shows that we do, as well as our Learn to Ski clinics, our adaptive ski clinics, anything like that. So we'd appreciate any sort of flexibility in terms of the scheduling of the project to be done sooner in the season or sooner in the year. So we're allowed access to that, both for construction of it as well as people are allowed to get into our building safely to enjoy that haunted house attraction. So any questions for me?
Okay. I don't see it. Oh, yep, Councilmember Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Just for the record, when does your haunted house start in the fall?
Yeah, so it's normally the last 3 weekends of October. So we'd ideally have the street wrapped up, if we could, by the beginning of October, so we can finalize that and everyone can get easy access to it.
Okay, thank you for those dates.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down. All right. And Stephanie Turner? Hello.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. So I'm here representing the Unitarian Universalist congregation, which is located at the corner of Farwell and Gray Street. And we have been following the parking study and the discussions about some proposed changes that are coming up and trying to work with people that use our building to kind of get them ready for changes. And we're very excited about the prospect of some improvements to that street because, as Director Ness showed you, it's in pretty bad shape. So that's great. And we want to specifically request an accessible parking spot because a number of we did a parking survey of our own within our congregation, and the overwhelming majority of people that were ranking proposed improvements that we had suggested, pie in the sky, but we were just thinking, well, what would be important to you? The majority indicated that they would value an accessible parking spot. So I have already spoken with Director Ness about the possibility of having a drop-off pickup zone designated as well, and I'm going to follow up with her staff to see what we can work out with regard to that. But I just wanted to let you know that a lot of people use that street parking, not just on Sundays, but every day of the week. We've got people coming and going, morning, afternoon, evening. So it is a very well-used street for parking, and not just by members of our congregation, but also people who may be going to other businesses nearby, like, for example, the Mr. Kitty's Cat Cafe across the street, and have business elsewhere in town. So what happens on that street is really important to the Unitarian Universalist congregation and other users of that parking space.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down. Question. Okay. Candy?
Well, there's actually three of us here from our building. I'm Candy. I live over on Boardwalk Street, and I bought a condo 3 years ago. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo because it was affordable at the time. I'm a single mom of 2 kids. And most recently on Arthur Street, a developer had construction crews ripping down a house, destroyed the street, Arthur Street, and then they put up apartment complexes. And now I opened a letter and I was assessed $1,400, and my driveway goes out Boardwalk and my front door is on Cassie Court. And our concern as owners of our little section here amongst all these other developers is we're getting shoved out. And I know the next item on the agenda is affordable housing, but if I could potentially be charged 3 times because I'm on the corner. So I guess I would like the council members to really look at the development of this area. We're 1 block from South Middle School. These complexes have added a lot of traffic. I have to act as crossing guard on Fairfax every morning and every afternoon because kids are almost getting hit. There's parking along Fairfax, and this morning along Arthur Street, I counted 57 piles of dog poop there that my daughters had to walk through to get to school. So I guess before we start this project specifically on Arthur Street, I would like maybe some more eyes on this area about what we're doing, because I moved here to be close to the school. My daughter has autism. I have to be there at a moment's notice sometimes. But really, it feels like, because there's 3 of us here, we're getting pushed out. And I just wanted to make our voices heard.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. Thank you. I think there's a question for you, Candy.
Thanks for sharing all of that background, and it checks out because of all the things that have been happening in that area for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Was there a flashing beacon put in on
Yes.
Arthur Street? Has
And
that been helpful?
It has been helpful, but what's happening is there's cars parked on both sides of Fairfax, especially the drop-off. The parents are dropping off their kids. So some of the little sixth graders are shorter than the cars, and so it's like a game of chicken. And I just figure I'm old, I jump out in front of the cars because people are texting. There's never been an officer there. I've been there 2 years helping the kids walk now, and nobody's paying attention. So really, maybe the engineering department can look at a no parking zone for so many feet around that flashing light. And I tell the kids, you gotta put the light on. It's very dangerous. And then you got the bikers trying to cross, and it's almost impossible.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Director Ness was nodding her head when you were speaking, so. Thank you, Candy. Okay, Mike Buchholz? Hi, hello, welcome.
I'm Mike Buchholz. I have a property right on 204 Cameron Street, and we've had issues there. I've had it for 38 years, and I see what they're proposing from Quick Trip driveway to Mappa. I would like to see that shut down, because all the driveways are coming out in the new alleyway that they just put through. Same way with my building, and then we just had that new building put up right next to it. And the traffic there is terrible. Both sides of the street, if you come there from the businesses on Bellinger Street, plus that, I don't know what that building is, where the old folks, I think they go have dinners and stuff there, there's no parking. So if you go there and look at my building, it's plugged. So if they develop that Mappa Street, that's gonna create more traffic, and it's gonna be a problem on that corner. And then they wanna do a proposal of a steps. There used to be a steps there. They tore that out, and what's happened there with that steps is it's just created a lot of traffic. They cut right through my property. So with the new owner next door, I think if they would shut the traffic down on Mappa Street would be a huge accomplishment, and it would cut the traffic. I mean, there's accidents on that corner all the time, and there's abandoned. I know this last year I've called the police like 3 times of 3 different abandoned vehicles. Nobody knew who they were. So it's been a problem. So and I am in the market of moving that piece of property, because it's kind of right in the area where you guys want to. I was told to put another townhouse there. And I had just retired, and I'm trying to make things better there for the upcoming, and again, I just got hit with a $2,500 for the new alley put in, and now I just got a proposal that I could come up with another $14,000. Now, if I was a new real estate agent, that's a big hit. A new person in no way could afford that. Plus, I'm trying to keep the rents down there for affordability, because that's what those new buildings were. Those new buildings were supposed to be for low income. Well, if this keeps coming, there's no way that I can increase rents to try to help the people that I am. So I would like to talk to somebody further on this, because that guardrail, and where they're gonna put the curb and gutter, they've already tore the sidewalk up in front of me this last summer because they put in new water lines into the house. So then they tore the sidewalk up there, now we're gonna tear it up again. So my concern there is I really don't wanna, I can't afford to take that $14,000 hit and then put it on my taxes. It's gonna be harder for me to move that to the next buyer. So I'm kind of right in a bind.
Okay.
So,
Oh, well, there's a question for you.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for telling us your concern. My question to you, you have lived there for 38 years, you said?
pardon me?
You have lived there for 38 years.
38 years?
That's what you said?
Have you lived there for 38 years?
I've owned it for 38 years.
So,
Yeah.
So, concerning Mappa Street, have you talked to your neighbors? And you are on the same page that there's a concern that you should shut down Mappa Street? Mappa Street.
Mappa Street?
Yeah, have you talked to your neighbors and?
No, but I was told that, I came to city council here a while back, that I was told that all them buildings between Mappa Street and Cameron Street have been bought up. And then we're supposed to all be disappearing for the new projects coming down the way. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I just know if they create more traffic coming out of Quick Trip driveway, that's gonna be a huge issue. I mean, there's no place to park now, and if you go take a look at it, especially during the noonish hour, mailman likes to park there, he can't park there, I mean, it's plugged. So my tenants, you know, luckily, my driveway is in the alley, so they're okay. So I have no driveway coming out into Cameron Street at all. So
Okay.
it's just a concern with the future, and I know it has to be done.
Okay, thank you. Well, make sure you get the Leah, our Director Ness's contact info, and I'm sure the staff can follow up with you.
thank you.
So thank you. Thanks for coming down. Is there anyone else in council chambers like to speak on any of these street projects? Anyone? And if you have questions, yeah, Director Ness's card is in the back. She can help you out. If you have feedback for council, there's blue cards you can fill out or send us an email. So thank you, everyone that came down to speak on these items. We next have a public discussion on housing affordability. This is a public discussion on accepting the Housing Our Neighbors Collaborative Community Strategic Strategy Plan. And we have City Manager Hirsch.
Thank you. I'm going to go through this really quickly because you've seen this presentation at the last meeting or the prior meeting. And also some of you attended the Eggs and Issues. But just as a refresher, there has been a group that's been meeting for more than a year. It was convened by the Department of Human Services, the City County Health Department, and the Chamber. And then additional groups joined in as well, and has met every other week, and also done a ton of work collecting information from lots of different stakeholders and partners. It also has a key role for people with lived experience, and this group is called the Housing Our Neighbors Planning Collaborative. These are the goal is to make homelessness brief, rare, and non-recurring in Eau Claire County, and these are the partners that have participated. I wanted to come and have you guys just formally accept the report since the City of Eau Claire is a partner on this. And though I've been participating, there hasn't been any other formal action from the city to endorse this effort. The report provides information on the current state of homelessness, gathers feedback from lots of different individuals and stakeholders, and then tries to synthesize it into 6 strategies that will be used as guideposts to develop a work plan across all these different types of strategies. These are the strategies, and the next steps are what's happened recently was the report was sent out to service providers in the community to gather feedback. There's a presentation recently given on January 23rd at Eggs and Issues. The plan is linked on the Human Services website. But the real challenge now is you have the strategies, but the real challenge is what are the work steps to implement these strategies? So that's really the meat of the work going forward. And it's going to kind of be an all hands on deck. And the collaborative is working with other stakeholders to try to figure out what a coordination structure or governance structure will be. And also we internally have to figure out where do we plug into the report. So it's probably based on what the scope of our work is as a city government. It's probably kind of on the crisis response and also on housing supply. But then there's other partners who plug into different places. And that is really my very brief overview of it, but it was in the packet. Hopefully you got a chance to look at it. Sent it out before too. And we do have 3 of the members who have been very kindly waiting here. And I believe when we get into the comment phase, they will come up and say a few words as well as anybody else in the audience who would like to comment.
Okay, so now I guess council have questions. Yeah, Councilmember Schoen.
Thank you, Council President Berge. I'm wondering, so once council does consider this and takes formal action with the proposed plan. I'm wondering if you have thoughts about, this question around how do we plug into this
Yeah.
plan? Do you think that it would make sense to have this plan presented potentially, or have some type of meeting that includes the different cities, committees, boards and commissions? And I guess like Housing Opportunities Commission
Right.
comes to mind, Redevelopment Authority. I know you mentioned crisis response of police and fire. Like there's a few different community groups associated with the city that might have a role or might want to, as they develop work plans, adopt some of the things that they see within their purview or ways that they can further the goals of this plan. I don't know if you have any comments or feedback on that.
I think that you just explained that really well. So that is the next step, and how these different groups, like Housing Opportunities Commission, would plug into this, or perhaps even it would be replaced by a regional Housing Opportunities Commission. So I think we're really just in a way at the starting line, and the real kind of work gets underway. But what's really impressive and unique about this is that the county has really taken a leadership role, and by creating a position of Angie Stokes, who's like super dogged and has just worked so hard, and then also to have the chamber and the health department and lived experience board and other partners really come together. So I think this is the first time in the time I've been here where there's been a really concerted effort. It's not like without unknowns and some tension, I guess, but I think this is the first time where I've really seen there be a regional approach. And I personally feel like everything that we do just needs to be aligned with this, and I'm here to cheer them on. And if we want HOC to do one thing to help this effort, that's where I think we should go. But I don't think we know yet what that would be. And I do know that we don't really have more money. So it has to be like using the tools we have already in our toolkit to support and to align, basically, to do better, have them have greater impact because they are more coordinated and aligned.
Any other questions for staff? And then they did sign up to speak, so we could hear from, Councilmember Serrano?
I have a question, Council President Berge. Are we giving feedback now, or when I look at the summary of the item on the agenda, it says we ask the council review the report, share questions or feedback as desired, and then accept it. So that's on the agenda for tonight. So is this an opportunity for feedback, or are we going to listen to public comments first?
Yeah, I think tomorrow, because we're voting on to accepting this
tomorrow.
tomorrow. So tomorrow we
we'll
can
vote on it.
discuss
Okay,
it,
so
so.
tonight is just the public.
Yeah. If it was a work session, that'd be a little different, but yeah.
Thank you.
Great question, though. Any other question? Okay, then I'll go to Angela. One of the Angies.
Yes, good evening. I was going to say it's the first time you're seeing me without my other Angie.
Yes.
She is actually on her way to a housing conference in Appleton right now, so she sends her well wishes this evening. But I just wanted to say on behalf of the county that, as Stephanie mentioned, I do feel like the county is taking a bigger role. And prior to having Angie Stokes in the department, my deputy director oversaw our behavioral health and family services programs. That's about 200 staff that rolled up to that deputy director. We have moved all of that programming and services under me to allow Angie to have the time to really work on housing coordination. I think that's something that I've heard repeatedly throughout Eau Claire. I think there's many, many, many wonderful partners around housing who not one of those partners has all the resources that's necessary to solve this very challenging public health issue. So it's really taken Angie about 1.5 years to develop all the relationships with community partners, to encourage them to work well together, to say, what do you have? What do we have? What does this entity have? And what does nobody have that we maybe need yet? So I've been really impressed with her work. I think she's done a really good job of trying to bring partners together. The Housing Our Neighbors Collaborative, which Stephanie alluded to with, it includes the City County Health Department, the Chamber, Department of Human Services, At first, for a few months, it was just those 3 entities to start getting some groundwork planning done. Then we later added, well, from the beginning too, we also had LEAB, the Lived Experience Advisory Board. And that's been a really vital part too, is having people who are currently unhoused as part of the planning process. And we plan to continue that moving forward into the next phase of taking more action and working on the 6 strategies that Stephanie alluded to. So I just wanted to give a little more information about kind of what the next steps look like. And then also I think another key important piece is the data that we plan to collect and share. We do have a website that has all of the information on it. We will be sharing information through that website as well as through the media. A few things that we plan to measure are the reduction in jail days, looking at placement and placement costs, and currently our taxpayers are paying a large amount of money related to placements, specifically at Winnebago and Mendota. Nobody wants to be there. If you've ever toured any of those facilities, it's more of a holding ground. It is not a place where you're going to get treatment and recovery and come out feeling a lot better. You're going to come out to get more supports and services, hopefully prevent you from going back there. So we're going to be also measuring ER visit information and data, and we've been working with Leah Olson McBride from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. And basically the information and data that we're seeing currently is showing that it's actually cheaper to house somebody than it is to leave them unhoused. And so we are at the point working on securing funding and looking for grants, as well as working with some community partners to try to get more funding to house people. So thank you for your time.
There might be questions, I think, for you, Angie. So Councilmember Serrano.
Thank you, Council President Berge, and thank you so much, Angie, for, all of the work. My question, you're talking about data collection, which interests me a lot, and I'm wondering, does that span entities like the City of Eau Claire Police Department?
Yes.
In terms of all the different, have we identified what are all the pieces of data that we're going to be collecting related to the Eau Claire Police Department?
I would say it does include the Eau Claire Police Department, and Angie has worked very closely with Bridget Coit as well as Derek from the police department. I wouldn't say we have everything identified yet, though. I do think as you start a project, you may have an idea of these 5 things are what I'm going to measure, and then as you start measuring, you get curious about something else, or you look at what another collaboration has done and say, oh, we didn't think of that, let's add this as a measurement too.
Great, thanks.
Great. Councilmember Brewster?
Thank you, Council President. So, I mean, across the board, it is, incredibly clear that housing people is cheaper than all the other things. How have you found a way to talk about that, especially given like the sort of silos that all of our funding sources are in? Like, housing people might save the city, a bunch of money, but it actually costs this organization money over here. Like collectively, if everything was put together, it would save money. But like it doesn't all add out in the same particular way that we would hope it might. And I'm just wondering if you had any successful way to talk about that.
That's such a great question, and I would say that we have talked about it minimally, but Angie and I and the rest of the team have not shouted that from the mountaintop yet. And part of the reason we haven't is Leah's information was based on a very small pilot. So what we're doing is a larger sample. And once we have that, I feel like we can talk louder about that. Right now, it was such a small set of people that I just want to have a little more data before doing that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Vice President Worthman?
Thank you, Council President. This report is very well done. I want to thank you for all of the work on it. For folks that are here today, I think one of the things that's most eye-opening is this chart that shows the number of people that are sleeping either in shelter overnight or on the street. Pre-pandemic, when we're talking about a January count of around 6 people, a July count of 23, up until the last year, over in the hundreds now. mean, that's an incredibly steep increase in people who are either in shelter or sleeping on the street. I think looking at this report, the one thing I'm not sure that I saw, but maybe it's here, is there kind of a high-level goal or aspirational goal of where we want to be in the coming years in terms of moving people into housing?
I do think there have been some short-term goals set, but we do need to set more long-term goals. The goal that we talk about is that we're getting more people into housing than there are becoming unhoused, is the main goal. There's one other thought I had about that. We look a lot at the ALICE population. So United Way collects ALICE data. I used to work at United Way, and I love the ALICE data just because I think it's very telling. It stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. And so it basically means that people are working, but they're not able to pay for their basic needs. And they look at people who have children versus people who don't have children because the cost of childcare, we all know, is very high, as well as the cost of housing. And so if you have little children and you're working a job where you make even $15 to $20 an hour, how are you going to pay for your housing and your childcare? And now people are having to make hard choices about what bill am I going to pay this month and what bill am I not going to pay this month. So a big thing that we're focused on is we know that about 1 in 3 people that live in Eau Claire County are considered in that ALICE population. And so if they're not unhoused currently, they are at risk of becoming unhoused. So we want to pay special attention to that ALICE population and about 1 in 3 residents in the county to make sure that they can sustain their housing and do not become unhoused.
Thank you. Councilmember Mboga?
Thank you, Council President. And thank you so much. I really like this report. My question to you is, is this your brainchild?
I would not say it's my brainchild, but I would say it's a vision that has been a joint vision with many community leaders that are saying, look outside, something's changing. Not to Andrew's point previously, the number of people are rising, and I think we are a caring and compassionate community, but sometimes it doesn't feel that way when you drive outside and you see people outside when it's 20 below.
Okay, can I ask so I have read, but maybe you can help me out. Did you talk to the people at announced and ask them, are they going to be in maybe 6 months from now, 1 year from now, they still want to be homeless or they want to be out of that situation? Do you guys talk to them?
Yes, we do have an outreach team already that is going out and doing outreach with the unhoused population. The majority of people that are not housed do want to be housed. It is challenging for somebody to stay housed if they don't have supports and services. Not only funding, but supports and services. And so we are working with lots of community partners, Bolton, Sojo, the Resource Center. We offer a lot of services through Human Services as well. So we're a piece of the pie. We offer a lot of mental health and AODA treatment options that are voluntary for individuals and teens.
Thank you. Vice President Worthman?
Just a quick question. I know that one of the partners that was helping with this plan was Home for Good.
Yes.
And I see them mentioned in the report here too.
Yep.
But have they continued to be a part of the vision for this, knowing they are one of the many organizations that are kind of helping to solve this problem?
Definitely, and that's a great question. So Home for Good is considered a service provider or nonprofit. We have purposely, up to this point, not had those service providers be a part of the Housing Our Neighbors executive team, just because everybody has a different angle, a different funding need. It can be complex, and then you would open the floodgates to all service providers. And so up to this point, we have not included service providers on that executive team. However, we are planning on adding, and that's kind of the point we're at right now, is looking at all the players, all the stakeholders, whether they're nonprofit, for-profit, everybody who has a piece of the puzzle to get them into one of those 6 service teams that we're creating around the 6 strategies.
That makes sense. Thank you.
I just-
Oh, yeah. City Manager Hirsch.
I just wanted to give appreciation to Angie Weideman, because keeping in mind just this point about the deputy director being tasked with this is really a very significant sacrifice on Angie's part, that her department alone is about half the size of all of the city. So it's incredibly complicated. It has like a gazillion different funding sources and uses. And yeah, and here she is on one of her nights off, and she's presenting to us. So we really appreciate it, to you and your whole team. And just to note, in a meeting that we had today, the DRC said that there were 258 unique individuals who visited in January. That's 258 different people, to Angie's point about the ones growing, and even if you're shrinking, yeah.
Thank you so much for saying that, Stephanie.
No,
I appreciate
thank
that.
you.
Thank you, Angie.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, then we have Catherine Kerwin. Hello, Catherine.
Hello. My name is Catherine Kerwin. I am the Population Health Fellow at the Eau Claire City County Health Department, and I'm also on the Housing Our Neighbors Planning Collaborative. I just wanted to go a little bit more in depth into our strategies. So I helped create the plan from the beginning. These strategies were informed by 3 different listening sessions with our service providers. We also held a community assembly with, in partnership with the University of Madison, the Follett School of Public Affairs. They came down and hosted that with a random sample of 20 residents in the city of Eau Claire. And then we also sent out a survey to local leadership, and we talked about it a lot in our executive team meetings to refine the strategies before they were finally released. So our first strategy is align the system. This basically means that we have a lot of people doing a lot of really, really great work in Eau Claire, and we want to make sure that they're working together and we're not duplicating any efforts. We also want to make sure that when a person enters our homelessness response system, no matter where they enter, they're receiving the same opportunity to receive housing as somebody else if they were to enter in a different location. Our next strategy is sharing data strategically. So with every service provider, they typically have some kind of data system that they have to enter into, but nobody really has the same data system, and none of the data systems talk to each other. So we don't actually have an unduplicated number of people experiencing homelessness in Eau Claire right now. We do have the point-in-time count, which provides an estimate, but that's typically well known as an underestimate of people experiencing homelessness. So our goal with this is really to find a way to share all that data strategically, make sure that partners can enter into the same list, so we have a by name list that is an unduplicated number of people experiencing homelessness. I think this kind of goes to a question that was posed earlier, which is what is our goal in the end? But we don't even really have a baseline right now, and so it's definitely a priority for us to make sure we have that baseline. The next one is strengthening outreach. So making sure that we're not asking people to come to us, we're going out to people, we're making connections, providing trauma-informed care, and then also connecting them with services when they want them. The next one is preventing homelessness. So this will be definitely where we get the most bang for our buck. As if we can try and prevent homelessness in any way that we can, that's the best way to go. Next is ensuring affordable housing. So both maintaining affordable housing when it's affordable, and then also building housing stock. This is particularly for people who make below 60% AMI. And then the last one is community engagement. So this is where our unhoused neighbors and our housed neighbors can come together and feel like they are all in the same community and they are all neighbors with each other. This came up a lot in our meetings, just for more opportunities for people to engage with our unhoused population. So yeah.
Great. Thanks. Let's see if there's questions. Actually, I have a question. It says Eau Claire and affordable housing, which yes, but I'm hearing though it's regional too. So would it be Altoona and other?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there are projects right now going on to kind of look at housing affordability within the Eau Claire County, because people too want to live in the area typically.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, great work.
Catherine's done it. Sorry.
Councilmember Brewster has a question.
Thank you, Council President. Has there been any really deep dive into what sort of program you might use for the data? Like, and getting people on board with that, because that can be just an absolute beast.
Yeah, we looked at it a little bit. So the by name list is actually modeled from an organization called Community Solutions. So they provide a lot of that information, and Lacrosse has it modeled as well. So Lacrosse does it through Microsoft Teams actually. So we've been working with the county to see if we could somehow do it through Excel, where we can have our partners enter into the same Excel spreadsheet, so that we could see if the same people are on the list over and over again. It would be really beneficial to have a program that's already pre-made, but they typically tend to be pretty expensive. So we've been looking into some of them that are a little bit more cost efficient, especially since a lot of our service providers have to enter into multiple systems regardless. So asking them to enter into a third, fourth, fifth system is tricky. So.
Yeah, thanks. Councilmember Serrano.
Thank you, Council President Berge. I have a pretty detailed question. It's a little asterisk on page 32 of the report, where you're talking about strategy number 5, ensure affordable housing, and who's involved. So there's like 5 bullets of all the people involved. Local government is one of them. And there's an asterisk that says, note from the City of Eau Claire, the City of Eau Claire cannot fund this work as they rely on property taxes for funding. And I'm not entirely sure how that fits in with this. I don't know if that's Stephanie's comment earlier about we don't have any extra money.
Right.
But still involved. So I'm trying to understand the point of that asterisk.
I think that, just if I can answer, I think that was something that I at some point added because I was worried about there being this focusing on directing more resources to it, which we would love to do, but we don't have a funding source. So it's like a caveat, I guess.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, and local government includes Eau Claire County,
Right.
City County Health Department, so just
Right.
making sure that we still have that
Yeah,
represented.
I just was wondering if we rely on property taxes, the city relies on property taxes for funding, if that was a particular, no. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Brewster?
Oh.
Councilmember Vice President Worthman?
Well, and also, there's other ways that we can fund it, and we do currently. We have other means of potentially impacting this problem. So I don't know if we can change that note potentially, because I just, and who knows what kind of federal government support comes every 5 to 8 years to help with housing. So I would just like to make sure that we're clear on when we can fund, or if we make hard decisions that we're going to fund this and maybe not something else, that we're still leaving the window open to be a part of that, part of the solution. So I don't know, maybe we can talk about it
Yeah,
tomorrow.
probably tomorrow. Catherine's like, yes. I have a question, Councilmember Brewster?
More of a comment, I guess, but yes, thank
Okay,
you.
let's make it, yeah.
Yeah, so, we talk about affordable housing almost ad nauseum. Like, it's basically always on the agenda for everything. And, I feel like I'm constantly, bringing up that, more housing is affordable if people make more money. And, you can deal with the equalizers in multiple ways. If we can make, transportation more affordable, then people have a larger share of their paycheck to spend on housing and all these different things. And it just feels like the only thing we ever talk about is how to make housing affordable, and affordable means different things to everybody. And I just wish there was a way that we could deal with that in a way that was more precise. And I know 40% CMI, 60% CMI, that gets talked about a lot, but it's just way easier to say affordable housing and have everyone knows what you're talking about. So I don't know. That's all I had to say on that.
That's a really good point. We do typically use the term cost burdened or extremely cost burdened. So that's when somebody spends over 30% of their income on housing, or if you're extremely cost burdened, it's 50% of your income. And right now, I think there's a chart in the graph that 33% of Eau Claire County is cost burdened. So kind of just looking at the bigger picture, if we can get those decreased in general, how can we then kind of, balance all the factors? So
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just have to say that Catherine has been awesome, doing a ton of legwork, and it's been really instrumental to having the pieces come together.
Thank you, Catherine.
This report is my child, so,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
It's a beautiful child.
Thank you.
I like your key.
All right, then we have Julian.
Hello, everybody. Stephanie, thank you for your participation in this group and also for that really thoughtful, thorough introduction. It actually took away most of my talking points, so you guys don't have to listen to me very much, unlike normal. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of what's next with this plan and the difficult aspirational things that we need to figure out how to do. But first, Larry, to answer your question, where did this come from? It really was born from kind of from that movie Beyond the Bridges that was shown last September, or almost 2 years ago. Sorry, 2024. But also bigger picture than that, it was a realization on the part of a lot of all the service providers, other key stakeholders, people like myself who've been involved in homelessness in different ways, that there's all these efforts going on. 12 years ago when I spent the winter on the streets with homeless people and wrote a series of stories about it, it really opened a lot of people's eyes and a lot of great things happened. That then led to more things happening. That then led to the city of Eau Claire getting involved, which when I first started with this, that was never a thing, right? So many really great things happening to try and work on and address homelessness in this city and in this region. And despite all of that, the numbers kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So there was a realization that we've got all these great things going on, but it's not working. So what and how could we do it differently, right? That's really where this comes from. It's a rare week that I don't get a phone call from somebody. I had 4 of them in one recent 6-day period from people saying, Julian, I'm losing my housing, or Julian, I lost my housing and I'm sleeping in my car, or Julian, I lost my housing and now I'm sleeping with family and relatives and they just kicked me out, and where can I go and what do I do? And I'm just like, I'm not even a social services person, like I'm just me. And I get those calls and it's increasing and it's increasing. And Andrew, to your point earlier with the number you were noting, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you really count how many people, the way I look at homelessness is not the way HUD does it, but how many people don't have a bed of their own to sleep in any given night? If you count that number in Eau Claire, and you add the well over 300 students in the Eau Claire School District and their parents and the people staying at the shelters and the people living outside in tents in this kind of weather, and you count everybody, you're talking in the upper hundreds. You're talking getting up toward 1,000 people. So it's a huge, huge issue and a huge problem. And we know that we don't have enough housing flat out, period. And we don't have enough of that is affordable for people who struggle financially, right? And so this plan is about collaborating better, about sharing data better, about breaking down our silos and barriers that exist for really legit reasons, right? But breaking those down and working more collaboratively, better and better and better, because we know we need to, because we know what we're doing isn't working right now. And it's also about, can we crack the code that this whole nation is struggling with in places around the world of affordable housing, especially for folks who really struggle financially? How can we do that, and what does that look like? How can we get the resources to offset building costs? How can we come up with resources to provide wraparound services? How do we work? The only way we have a snowball's chance, I believe, is by partnering more effectively. And that won't even solve nearly all of it, but it's a good start. It's a way to do it. So that's really what this is about. And I'm more than other efforts that I've seen and been involved in, this is truly more in a big picture way collaborative. So I have hope for that. I see entities, and we have hard talks, believe me. It's not all roses and sunshine. But I see people talking and having difficult talks and then working our way through the problems and starting to do that, strategizing for what are we going to do next. And really, so we have this study now. Now comes the real work, which is engaging more fully with all of the service providers and saying, what role can you play? What role can you play? And then having sometimes tough talks because it's going to stretch some of us to say, well, we don't typically do that, but we need somebody to. And so how can we come together that way and put together a really effective plan and enact this plan? This plan is great. How are we going to enact it and make it action and actually house more people and house them and keep them housed? That's the real hard work with this. And then how do we measure it? And I always caution with people when they talk about measurability and accountability with homelessness, because it's super challenging, as we all know, and it's not linear, it's not always a straight line. But I do believe that we can do better than we are currently doing, even though there's a lot of great efforts right now. I think by collaborating and partnering more effectively, I think we can do better, and I think we have to do better, or we're gonna continue to see these numbers, and I worry 5 or 10 years, if we don't do better, what does it look like? But why I'm heartened is just that I see so much collaborative will to try and do this. And this is maybe the biggest, most collaborative effort I've seen to do that.
Thanks, Julian.
Any questions?
Let's see.
I want to make
Yes, sir.
a small-
Councilmember Boga.
Oh, thank you, Council President. Thank you so much. I really believe that the united we stand, divided we fall. I really believe that. As most of you guys know, it's just a comment. I love to run. I go to Fairfax. There's a small park there. It's a 1 mile. For the last 4 years, there's this young woman who's my age, 50s. She's always in her car. Always, when she sees me, like, she gets scared, but I just go back the next to her. So she's homeless. Then sometimes when I go to the soccer park, I see her there too. So there are people like her who live in the car, but you guys don't count them. How can we include those people?
I do count them. They're for sure homeless. I mean, in my count, everyone who doesn't have a bed of their own tonight, they're homeless. Yeah. Even if they're couch surfing, it's not their home. The HUD definition doesn't count everybody, but we're trying to incorporate bigger than that in this study and in this movement.
Thanks. Thank you, Julian. Thanks.
I have to give a shout out to Julian,
Yes.
who's our absolute amazing institutional knowledge over the years and still fresh perspective and wears lots of hats. We're grateful for you.
Thank you
Thanks,
guys.
Julian.
And thank you guys for caring. You guys have heard me talk a lot on this. You guys have donated or voted to dispense lots of money and all kinds of stuff. So know that it's appreciated. And the city getting involved, and now we have the county involved in a big way. We have Altoona getting involved. So we're pushing to do more as cities as well as the other organizations. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Julian. Okay. This is still a public hearing, so if there's anyone in the council chambers like to speak on what you've heard tonight, or? Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Candy again. I'm going to switch hats.
Sure.
I just wanted to share with you a success story about homelessness. I've been a nurse since 1997. I've worked in hospitals. I've worked in the psych unit, and I understand that the challenges of mental health and addiction and just everything our society throws at us, provide barriers for people getting stabilization in homes. But I've been searching for a purpose in my life, and about 4 months ago, I spoke with Tammy Hewing, a woman up in Duluth who crawled her way out of addiction and homelessness and now is part of a very successful program in Duluth where they have actually a spreadsheet of a list of people on their chronic homelessness list. They have to be homeless 3 years to be on the list, and the city provides a subsidy. And Tammy gets referrals now off that list, and she goes out into the streets and pulls women off the street or out of the cars, out of their addiction. She brings them home, she gets them sober, and I think she's opening her 7th home now and hiring a full-time care manager. And it's a program that worked, and I just wanted to suggest that maybe we look at Duluth as a sister city and see how they're doing this, because she's living a purpose-driven life, and these women are now, they don't have family anywhere else, and now they celebrate together. And I said, well, Tammy, the big picture here, what are you going to do when they age out? Or she said, I'm going to open up assisted living and their family. I'm going to provide services to them through the end of their life because this is all they have.
Great, thanks for sharing that. Anyone else like to speak? Okay. Well, thanks everyone for showing up, speaking on this, and caring. Oh, Councilmember Serrano?
I had a question, and I don't know, I didn't quite know who to address it to, but I'll just, guess I'll throw it out. We can postpone it till tomorrow also, but there's a place at the end of the report that asks, it is an appeal for people to get involved, and I know that this has already been available on the county website. I'm curious, have people started reaching out to that email address, and are we getting the engagement, any early signs of engagement from the community yet?
City Manager Hirsch, you know that?
Stephanie maybe knows.
It's my understanding that a lot of people are kind of ready to plug in, and they're maybe looking for those instructions or next steps or different options, but is that right?
Behold.
Yeah, and I would say there's definitely been a lot of reach out, especially to Angie Stokes. I think people are starting to recognize her as a point person of connection.
So I'll just repeat that so people can hear at home. So people are reaching out to Angie Stokes, and it sounds like y'all are still making the infrastructure to make that happen. So hold tight. Yes.
But I was just curious if random people from the community are writing into that email address.
Yes.
Yeah, and we just talked actually about today about reconvening or remobilizing people and then giving them opportunities to plug in. And
great. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay. So we'll close that public discussion on housing affordability and then open our public comment period. So let's see, is anyone signed up? Oh, no one was signed up. Okay, but is anyone here to speak on during the public comment period? 'Cause they have certain rules I can go over, but it looks like no one's jumping at the chance. So, all right, so then we'll close the public comment period. And we do have 2 closed sessions tonight, so I will need a motion. So upon a motion duly made and carried, the City Council may go into closed session to discuss public employee collective bargaining matters, specifically labor negotiations with firefighters Local 487. Oh, and then who can say it? You say it. Amalgamated. That's just what Councilmember Reed said. Transit Unit Local 1310, which is permitted in closed session for competitive or bargaining reasons pursuant to 19.851E of the Wisconsin statutes. The purpose is to update and receive direction from the City Council regarding current and upcoming labor negotiations with firefighters Local 487 and amalgamated, oh, that was closer, Transit Union Local 1310. So that's the first one. And then I can read them both, I think. So, and then the second one is to conduct the annual performance evaluation and discussion, the employment agreement of the city manager, an employee over whom the City Council exercises responsibility, which is permitted in closed session pursuant to S 19.851C of the Wisconsin statutes. The purpose is to discuss employee compensation and performance evaluation data, process and performance, objective matters, and renewal of the city manager contract. So if those are the 2 closed sessions. So if I can get a motion. Okay, Councilmember Brewster.
Second, and for the record, Council President, we're not ugging the fire Local 487, she was ugging the word amalgamated.
What?
You said fire department local, and then you said ugh.
Oh.
So it was not the fire department you're ugging the word amalgamated.
Yes, thank you. Exactly.
Second
No,
motion.
right. Thank you. Thanks for that clarifying. People listening at home. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Berge.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Kumboga.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman.
Aye.
Is that it? Okay, that passes unanimously, so we are going into closed session. Sure, we'll have 5-minute transition. What'd you say?
Well, I have been told that a few times. I just need
I told him I would do it. Yes,